The seller is saying that this is a $65 coin, Mint State 63 Brown. Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be doing part 2 of our grab bag battle against Max Silver Picker. We have the second of 6 grab bags totaling $750 of spend on each of my and Max's part, and we're trying to claw our way back, make back that $750. And so again, he's currently leading me by about $16. If you check out the first one, I'm not going to tell you exactly how much value just yet, so go on back and it'll be linked above, but we're going to be taking this one open. We'll be going coin by coin, seeing how much each of the items are worth. And we've gotten some good ones so far, and the added twist is that you can vote for your favorite coin that we unbox to be given away in a Ultimate Whatnot stream co-hosted by me and Max. So anyways, let's dive in and see what we've got here. And here is the bag in front of me. I think for this one I'll rip it open, but I will be right back once the coins are in front of me. And I will say this actually feels pretty light, so I'm pretty sure it's, everything is in here, but I'm just excited to see what it might be. We'll see if there's any like identifying info. I may pull that to the side, but nope, looks like we've got a little baggie there and a handful of coins that should be super interesting. And I guess I actually don't even need to cut off the video. Let's just go for it, and we will analyze how soon we'll be getting to that $100 mark. And so I am loving that we're back in action with an unboxing. So first coin here is going to be a 1962 Lincoln penny. I want to look closely on this one for varieties. It's been a little while since I've searched them. Lincoln pennies made with this memorial reverse 1959 to 2007. And it was on the 50th anniversary of the wheat penny that they switched up the reverse. I believe that it was the 150th anniversary of Lincoln being born in 1809. If this doesn't have a variety on there, though, we are looking at, unfortunately, a 1-cent start. And so that's going to be our first one. The next one is going to be a 1938 wheat penny. And so we're actually getting into what we had just discussed. This is the wheat year. 1938, it's not too valuable of a date, so I would say first 2 coins, maybe a little bit of filler, basically. And so I guess, yeah, interesting start, but some of the key dates here, I've got a video on it, are going to be 1909 S and SVDB. The engraver, Victor David Brenner, had put his initials on the reverse. And so, yeah, what is in front of us, probably off to a slow start, but I'm optimistic on some of the coins later in this batch. This one is going to be a 1937 S. Again, S means San Francisco was a branch mint founded. I want to say, now I should really know this, was it 1850s, somewhere in that range? Because there's the whole 1850, late 1840s California gold and gold rush. And so, this at this stage probably was operating for 80, 90 years. The first 3 mints, I think, was New Orleans, Dahlonega and Charlotte, Dahlonega in Georgia, Charlotte in North Carolina, where there were some gold rushes early. And then next up, we're going to find a 1963D in very nice shape. Again, I'm going to have to look closer to make sure it's not some kind of a repunched mint mark. So, interesting start, I would say so far. Maybe we're at probably not even quite $1 of value, but that's grab bags are always exciting. And so right here, let's see, nice ton, maybe nice toning or something like that. We're going to open this one up and we will see 1956, and I'm not exactly sure, potential dot, uncirculated toned Canadian 10-cent. And so this is going to be some Canadian silver. Let's take a look and see if there's some awesome toning on this thing. This would have been Queen Elizabeth II. She would have been reigning since 1952. So she was around for about 70 years before passing in 2002, or 22, excuse me. And so interesting figure, has a little bit of toning, as you can see. And then on the back has a little bit of toning as well. I would probably put this one at about, I would say maybe a $3 valuation or $4 valuation, but maybe other people would like it a little bit more than I do. I feel like when we're considering the value of toning, you know, it's got a little bit of color to it, and so maybe I'm being too negative on it, but I would say you'd probably want to see a little stronger as opposed to the super kind of speckled toning. You probably want to be able to see the toning a little bit stronger for it to add a ton of value. And then we're also going to see this 1876 5-cent coin. We've got, let's see, 1876 shield nickel, fairly worn down, but it's super interesting how the shield nickel came about, because before we had the shield nickel, we had the 5-cent silver. And so, you know, those would have been minted, and the half dime was the first silver coin federally made in 1792. And so by the post-Civil War period, they'd figured out, hey, we can actually just mint coins that don't have the necessary silver backing, and people will accept them. They had tried that on the penny. They'd gone in 1857 down from a much larger kind of quarter-sized copper coin to a much smaller one, and it extended. And I think there was even some lobbying around like the nickel mining and how they would pay for the coins and all that kind of thing. This series was the first of the 5-cent coins, so very cool shield nickel. Exciting to get one of those. Next up is going to be a 1913 penny that the seller is saying that this is a $65 coin, Mint State 63 brown. This, I am not positive. I'm curious. I'll have to bring up some eBay after the video is done, but I certainly would not accept this as a $65 given if we're only comping to a Mint State 63 brown in a holder, because PCGS, that's going to cost about $30 to holder. And so, still interesting though. King George V reigned from about 1910 to 1936. Beautiful coins themselves. So I can't fault them for that. Got a beautiful maple leaf reverse design. And so, I'm hoping that that's not the big coin, though. I will admit that. That would be a little bit tough. We'll look out for some big coins behind it. And just so you understand what's going on, I'm going to edit in my analysis on the value of this one as well as the value of another one that I end up researching. But those are being done after the video is filmed, so you might see a little bit of inconsistency, but I thought it would be most interesting to see it done that way. So let's go to my eBay comps research. So I'm going to pull you out to a little bit of price discovery. I was originally going to put this at the end of the video, but I think it's best to do this now. And so how I would price something from a retail perspective, I went right to eBay because they're going to have a lot of listings. When I type in 1913 Canada cent, 83 results pop up. I sort by lowest, first, price, and shipping. And so a lot of the first, I clicked uncirculated over here, but these first ones clearly not uncirculated. As I'm scrolling through, none of these have me, I want to give a very fair comp. And so this one actually looks like it could be reasonable, honestly quite uncirculated. Doesn't have any bids, but it hasn't sold yet. So I can't say, hey, it's sold, it's a $16 coin, because we don't know if somebody's actually going to buy it, or it could be bid up way higher than $16. And it's $2 delivery. This red brown lustrous AU plus, I actually, when I look at that coin, it looks kind of cleaned. I don't think that the one that we have is cleaned. But what I then did, because it's tough to kind of determine like where exactly should we price this guy, I went with sold listings, and so these are actual ones that I've transacted. That one looks actually similarly lustrous, I would say, to ours. 1913 Canadian uncirculated coin, about $10, $11 with shipping. Here's one that sold for $16, altered color. So maybe it had some improper toning, but definitely still uncirculated. I also was digging around and I found a couple of sold listings. I think that these are going to be the best comps. We've got a 1913 Canadian cent graded by ICG, which is reputable. You're allowed to sell ICG coins on eBay, but honestly, people are not putting premium coins in world coins into ICG holders. So I think it actually gives a pretty good comp for what this is going to cost as a raw coin. So it went for $20, add 6 for shipping, about $26 for what was called a Mint State 64 by reputable graders, but the grading company is not super popular where they're going to, make tons of, people don't really submit all that much in these kinds of instances. Also found an ICG in Mint State 63 that sold, bid up to $28, and then add in another 7, about $35. But you have to pay to get it in the slab. So I think kind of a ceiling here is going to be about $35, but that would assume that we're paying for it in the slab. Then we go over here, Boardwalk Numismatics, super awesome business. They've got a high grade, beautiful example, and it's a little unclear. When I'm looking at this coin, it's always tough to know, is ours nicer or not? I would say ours might be a little bit nicer. I'm not really partial here. I want it to be worth as much as possible. But they're going 25 or best offer, and that has not sold yet. Similarly, this is the same one, I think. They also have this is like the Canadian reputable grading service, ICCS, Mint State 62. They're asking $40 or best offer, and that coin honestly might even look a little nicer than ours in terms of just the luster on there. And so my take is it's going to be really tough for me to accept that $65. I mean, it's like selling to people. I've seen it on Whatnot on a lot of different apps. Really have to be careful with selling to people at a certain value, saying, hey, we're valuing this as a graded coin. Because when I go to NGC, their price guides, which these are generally a little bit high from my perspective, is saying about $150, but a pretty steep drop to $50 and 62. And when you combine that with where things are going for in graded holders, looking over here, doesn't give me tons of confidence that this thing is way higher. It could be esoteric. Maybe people didn't jump in to bid. They were figuring, hey, I don't know, there's not so many interested collectors, but people generally track this kind of thing. $30 seems probably about right. We've got 2 Mercury dimes. Let's hope for a key date here. 1941 Denver mint mark. Interesting to see the fascies, the Merc dime reverse, and then right here we've got a 1931 31S. Does not look like it. I think it's going to be a 1931 Mercury dime. And we'll see right here, 1927 Buffalo nickel. And so these were, they called these the Indian head nickel, Buffalo nickel, would have struck from 1913 to about 1938. So about a 25-year issue. Really interesting. The 5 cents at first was on a raised pedestal and was wearing down quickly, so they kind of switched that around. This date is known for wearing down, but it's nice that we can still have that 27 clearly, and then a mint mark would have gone underneath the 5 cents on the reverse. Kind of fun. And then lastly, we get an uncirculated 1939 Canadian penny King George VI. 15 cents probably. Maybe it's more valuable though. Who knows? Maybe it's $15. I had looked this up, 1939. That seems a little more questionable because nobody's going to grade a 64. Nobody's going to grade their 1939 penny if it's going to be $25 in a holder, unfortunately. So that one seems tough to me to justify the $15 value. Looking around here, there's a pretty similar nice unk for $12 available on eBay. Hasn't sold yet. Here's a pretty nice 1939 for $5. Let's see. Sold listings, nice red luster going for $7. So I think it's tough from my perspective to value this one too high. I would say, so I think we've seen everything in the bag. I'm curious if you guys think this is a good deal. It's probably not $100. Would I have paid $100? No. If this walked in to me, maybe I would pay something like well, actually, I shouldn't say that because there's a chance I do not know my Canadian coins, and so this could be 1913, could be real valuable. But I would say outside of this, we're looking at around $20 of value. And so it's going to all come down to this bad boy, which I will do an immediate reaction. Give me a couple of moments to do some price research. And everybody, I think we're looking at a bit of a bust here on this bag. I think that it's pretty generous to even call this one $35, but I think I'm going to give it $30 ultimately. And again, I mean, that would be if I spent the money to grade this thing and to ship it. It just isn't looking so hot from my perspective. So, you know, is what it is. I think it's been interesting, certainly, to explain, and it gives some interesting opportunity for content to even talk about how I think about pricing this sort of thing. I think, you know, this is probably like $1. You know, a Buffalo nickel like this, probably like $1 or so. These two might be a little bit more than silver price, but call it 10. You know, so maybe we're at $12 or so. So maybe we make it more to like $60 range or so, 65 retail. And I'm worried that this is going to put me behind Silver Picker, but honestly, really interesting, and I think a good conclusion. You know, in terms of having some learning lessons to everybody else. I'm curious how you guys think about, you know, the fairest way to do these kinds of bags. Because the other thing is, you know, for $100, somebody's got to put together a grab bag, send it to me, and so they should be fairly compensated too. You want to make sure that, you know, they're not, you know, losing money on it and that kind of thing. There's probably a bad thing that could happen, and I'm purposely not going to say who I got this bag from, where I don't want to sort of bully somebody into making me a super good bag and then say, oh, you know, DZ Coins gave me a great bag, and then they feel like they had to come out of pocket and send a bunch. So tough outcome, but I think a really good next bag 2 in this one, and I'm already excited for the third bag, see if I can maybe right some of that past challenges and come back stronger and hopefully catch up to Silver Picker.
Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to head on over to treasuretown.com and sign up for our email list to stay up to date on everything that's happening, whether it's auction updates, exciting new inventory drops, coin collecting news, or general informational resources. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on another one.